You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn connects you with experts from all over the world to help you take charge of your career, your business, and your life. Rap along with us. Visit drjacalyn.com to learn how to become a guest or a sponsor. And now, the doctor is in.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. Welcome. We are so happy to have you. Hopefully you're coming back. You already saw our first show or you've watched us before. Regardless, we are just so thrilled for your loyalty. Thank you. You are watching Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn, the Underdog Show. I am your host, executive producer, director, and broadcast engineer. And with me today, as always, is my co-host, Ben Chai, Doctor Who of Business. Hello.
Hey, how you doing, Dr. J?
Hey, how are you?
Really well, thank you. Really well. It is so hot in London at the moment. Really hot. I don't know why I'm wearing the bow tie, but hey,
By the way, we're color coordinated today. Look at this.
Yes.
That's pretty cool.
I think actually sometimes when we're not coordinated, I actually have been thinking of wearing the color that you're wearing, but I'm a guy and I'm not trusting my intuition.
Well, I think we talked before that we've got this chemistry, this symbiotic or whatever it's called, right? So
we really do. Yes, it's spooky.
It
and
is.
Talking about kind of gut feels and intuition, we've got a guest that we'll be having on stage who has the gift of empathy. Now, if people don't really understand what empathy is, it's the ability to pick up other people's emotions. And when you don't know you have that gift, you could be feeling all sorts of crazy things and nobody would ever really understand what you're going through, including yourself. So the Underdog Show is about people who maybe people have labeled them crazy. Maybe people have thought they will never recover. Maybe you've had a near-death experience and people thought that person is not going to recover. Whatever it is. So we're hoping that people who watch this show will learn from the great gems and insights many of our guests share on how they got out of their particular challenge. So without any more chat, let me introduce our amazing guest, Jill Coletti.
Woo! Welcome, Jill.
Whoa.
Hey, how are you?
Great. How are you?
I'm wonderful. It's great to be here.
Fantastic.
Great.
We already have somebody watching. Hello, Fortune Chucks. Thank you so much. Thanks for being here.
Fortune Chucks. I love that. I always feel that Fortune chucks all the blessings towards me. So thank you, Fortune. I love it.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Jill, please just share a little bit about your background and this kind of, like, I understand that you only discovered you had this gift of empathy about 5 years ago, but what was it like growing up? Because if you didn't know you had this gift, then honestly, I know people who've been through it, that many people thought they were crazy or there was something wrong with them. And even they thought that. I know some people in church have who are very strong believers in their religions, but thought they're being possessed by demons or something. So please do share a little bit about maybe that childhood that you may or may not have had.
Sure, I would love to share. To be honest, like you said, it was really in recent years that I realized really even what an empath was. I don't even think there was a name for it when I was a kid. We didn't call it necessarily empath. There's always been a such thing as empathy. Growing up, I held everything in. So I was that kid that felt all the feelings, felt all the emotions, but I never really expressed them. So I held them all in, and I was an overachiever, and I did all the things that I felt I should do and that I was good at. But the feelings piece I really held back. And then as the years went on and I was starting to just explore who I was, you know, in high school, really more in college and beyond, it would come out as a lot of crying, usually in my room by myself, because I felt like there was something wrong with me. Why am I feeling all this? Why am I crying? Why am I doing all these things? I didn't feel like nothing bad was happening in my life. I had a great childhood growing up, but why was I feeling all these feelings? And now come to find out, it wasn't always my feelings. It was everything that was happening all around me. And I just had no idea, right? I didn't know that that's what it was. I'm sure there was a piece that was my stuff, right? But I did not know that I was actually absorbing the energies and the feelings all around me.
Wow.
Yeah, Jill, so you mentioned to us backstage that you realized you had this gift maybe 5 years ago, and I would think that has to be comforting in some way, but then terrifying in other ways. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. Yeah, it was one of those, I was on a self-discovery journey after getting divorced. And it was one of those, like, I had so much time on my hands because my ex-husband had my kids half the time. So I was like, all right, what am I going to do with myself? So I started on my own little spiritual healing journey and got into the energy side. So I started doing some energy work and things like that, and was being introduced to, what is an empath? What are these things? And part of me, like you said, cringed. I have spent almost 40 years of my life, like, not even realizing that this is okay. This is a part of me. And I'm absolutely amazing just by being in this way. There's nothing wrong with me, right? But then there was the light at the end of the tunnel there, right? That said, oh, now I can develop tools that can help me to, you know, manage this energy. And I can be, I'm already getting emotional, really. It's like a couple minutes in, that I can be that person and that mom for my kids so that they can understand this and that they can have ways to protect their own energy and to live a life that's inclusive of all of this, and that there's nothing wrong with them.
Right.
For the way they feel.
Sorry, can I just ask, so now that you understand it and it's scary and interesting at the same time, but normally something in someone's childhood, even if they've had a great childhood, would have triggered that kind of ability. So sometimes it's bullying, sometimes it's something that somebody once said to them. They meant well, but there was a part of the sentence which stuck with that person. And for you to be that shut down, no matter how great a childhood you have, something would have happened, a tiny bit of something in someone's past.
Yeah. It's interesting you say that. When I go through my healing there, healing happens in layers, right? There's always a couple of instances that come up that don't seem to be a big deal, right? If you think of them as just that one instance, but they accumulate into a self, like a self-worth, or maybe there is something wrong with me. I want to say it was like second or third grade, something like that, where the doctor, go on your doctor visit and your annual doctor visit, and he's telling me that there's basically something wrong with me. I shouldn't weigh that much at that age. And then he harped on my mother about that. So then my mother, there was something wrong with her and there was something wrong with me. And you're talking, you're an 9-year-old. So there's that piece. And then there's a piece growing up that I remember, like, my grandmother telling me that looked better on the hanger when I was going shopping with her. There's a couple of pieces. And then there's just pieces of me seeing my mom struggle, right? She struggled with anxiety and struggled with her own things. So I never wanted to be a burden.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Carry on. I'm totally getting it. I'm totally understanding what's triggered it now. Thank you so much for sharing it, Jill.
and I think so many people have little stories like that, and you think, you kind of blow off these little things, right? Mm-hmm. But when you're a child, that's a huge impact. Now I know my life is my life, right? And what someone says to me is not a reflection of me. It's actually a reflection of them. But you don't know that when you're a child. And and now I think I'm doing a little healing right now, actually, as we're talking. When you ask these questions, and I'm thinking, you know what? I didn't want to be a burden. I didn't, I'm feeling all of like my parents' emotions, my mother's emotions and feelings of her own insecurities and the things that she's dealing with, not knowing as a child that that's what it was, but just not wanting to be a bother. So I was the good child that followed all the rules, that did all the things and did what she should do until I reached my 30s. And I was like, all right, I'm out. I'm done with this. I'm doing what I want to do now. Not what I should do. But it's it's little things like that, and not realizing that they lead to a lot more.
So can I just reflect slightly here?
Sure.
Do you think that your mother may have not wanted to be a burden herself because she was having all these anxiety attacks, and you unconsciously picked up that burden? Not that burden, but you unconsciously picked up those emotions. So you also didn't want to be a burden, not realizing that actually that's not your emotion. That was somebody else's emotion you were picking up. So that's why you almost became that. I don't think there's anything wrong with overachieving, but you focused on that. And if you had problems, you would never share it.
Yes, I would push it down. I would just hold it in and push it down and no big deal and put a smile on my face and keep going. Because I should be able to deal with all of that myself and not put it on anybody else. Yeah.
Jill, do you remember the moment that you decided, you said in your 30s, but do you remember where you were, what you were doing when you decided not to stop pushing it down anymore? And I'm sure it must have just come pouring out.
It did. It came pouring out a couple of different times. There were a few key moments. First off, I went through a divorce. But even going through that, it was still all about the kids and the dog. I mean, I put the dog before I put myself, right? Like it was because he was a big part of our family, but it was all about them. But I remember Mother's Day weekend. It was like a year or two after I had gotten divorced. And I had this big house with this big yard and a pool and all the stuff I had to take care of. And I was doing it all myself with a toddler and a, 7-year-old or what have you at home. And I went, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm moving. So I decided to move. And this was a home my grandfather built and I didn't want to give up and all this. I decided to move. And that was like kind of one of the big first steps. Then I found someone as a mentor. And she started me on my like real kind of awakening spiritual journey with her, doing, some different sound healing and Reiki energy and things like that. But that was a little bit more gradual. But I remember heading to a meeting with her. I was working in corporate at the time, and I had been in corporate for over 11 years at this one company. And I'm driving and I said, why am I living my life this? I'm literally in the car just like, why am I doing this? I'm saving all this money. I'm working so hard. But I haven't wanted to work here for 10 years. But I was just doing it. I was like going through the motions and living that. Ultimately, I say I was stuck in Groundhog Day. I was living that Groundhog Day life. And I remember driving to her and then I said it out loud to her. Why am I still working there? Why am I still doing this? And she's like, I don't know. Why are you? And I went, I can't tell you what to do, but think about it. That night, I made an appointment with my boss and 4 days later gave my notice. And that was like the next step, because I had done all of those things that I should be doing. And I finally said, you know, I desire now to help other people get out of that mindset that I was in and get out of that stuck mode and feeling like you're unworthy, feeling like, you know, your life is not as important as everybody else's, or holding those emotions and those feelings in and not living with passion. Your life is just happening to you over and over and over the same way every day. So that was like my next step. So there was a few really big steps, or really big days when a lot of things changed. And now it's the everyday, just looking to say, okay, how can I help myself and other people? How can I continue to live a life with a little bit more inspiration and not hold those feelings down and feel those feelings, yet at the same time protect myself? So now it's about working with that energy, and how can we, you know, how can I, you know, as much as I desire to help other people, and I'm going to continue to serve and help other people, but I have also got to learn how to protect myself a little bit more, so that I'm not always feeling everybody else's feelings. And I've got to learn how to differentiate between what's my feeling and what's someone else's.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is really, really fantastic stuff that you're sharing, Jill. So if somebody is, if you're going through something like what Jill has had, then I think one of the key moments is when you just woke up and why am I doing this? Or somebody wakes up and says, why are you doing something you don't want to do? And the second thing is when you had time, and although the divorce must have been hard, it gave you time to think about your life and kind of, you know, what did Steve Jobs say? You always find out why when you connect the dots backwards. I think it was in one of his speeches. Dr. J, before we go to a commercial break, was there anything you'd like Jill to think about when we come back afterwards?
First of all, thank you for being so transparent and sharing, because I think there are many people right now who are where you were. And whether it's a divorce or doing something you don't want to do, and you keep doing it and stuffing and stuffing and stuffing. I want to hear how you went from what you were doing to doing what you are doing. You talked about the person that you worked with, but that's not an easy thing when you go down your own business and you're transforming yourself. There's a lot of emotions that come up, and fear of failure, fear of rejection, etc. So I'd kind of like you to think about that, if you would, when we're on the break.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks so much. We will be right back. Stay with us.
Sounds good.
Yay.
The world of healthcare is benefiting us in many ways, but the risk of becoming a victim to an airborne infection is increasing at a fast pace too. There are threats from viruses, allergic pollen, and chemicals which cause you loss of health, income, business, mental health, family and friends. All are at stake. One solution to this threat are the BV Air Sanitation Placide-based systems. When you call our team on 0208 104 3253, you find out about the amazing protection available. Protection that uses certified Battlefield, tested, standard and customized air disinfection systems for your personal and business use. Each system uses a filterless technology known as Placide, which attacks all airborne particles with microlighting to destroy and eliminate viruses and other harmful particles in your office, transport and home. You also benefit from extra bonuses such as low running and maintenance costs, no regular filter and part changes. You get to work with our trained experts and professional staff and be made aware of the latest in airborne protection and disinfection strategy. Keep yourself healthy by working with our trained experts and Placide virus killing systems, which keep you safe from airborne viruses. BV Air Sanitation Limited. We save lives, save businesses, and prevent infection. Schedule your free consultancy call and virus protection checklist. Call 0208 104 3253 or connect to us on www.bthebuster.com.
Hello, boys and girls, and welcome to Story Garden. Your host, Jacalyn Ben. I'm so happy to have you here today.
Diane Floyd Bain tells wonderful stories that warm the heart, spark the imagination, and unite people and families across generations. For children, Diane's Harry the Camel connects with all of us who've ever wondered how different our lives might have been if only we'd been born something better, like a wonderful horse instead of an ordinary camel. In the end, we all learn along with Harry that there's nothing better than just being yourself. Diane's Little Girl in the Moon looks down on earthbound children and wonders if they know she's just like them. A story of love, home, and the bond between mother and daughter, its powerful theme that we're each of us different yet all of us the same plants a seed in children that promises to blossom within a loving and trusting grown-up. Diane's new biography, Rise, recounts the experiences of her grandmother, Ruby, to reveal the hidden strength of the human spirit. Ruby's story inspires all of us to become the best versions of ourselves. You'll find all of Diane's delightful books and much more at DianeFloydBain.com. Visit DianeFloydBoehm.com. That's DianeFloydBain.com.
You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Hello and welcome back. If you're just joining us, we're happy to have you. You're watching Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn presents the Underdog Show, and I'm with my co-host, Doctor Who of Business, and our wonderful guest, Jill Coletti. Jill is a Reiki master teacher, coach, and she has been sharing a little bit about her journey as an underdog. She shared with us that she was getting divorced, going through a lot of emotions, living someplace that she had all these responsibilities, and she was working in a career and a job that just wasn't making her happy, stuffing all of her feelings down until one day she decided to make a huge change. And that's where we are in our story, about how you actually went from where you were to what you're doing today as a Reiki master teacher, coach, and spiritualist.
It's a journey. So first, I just want to preface with, do what works. So if someone is inspired by this story, be sure that you connect with yourself and make the choices that are right for you, not necessarily for anyone else, or follow specifically in someone else's path, right? Because what is meant for you is meant for you. For me, and I preface this because I took a really big leap without a plan. And I don't do that often. Pretty much I had never done that before. It worked for me, but it does not necessarily work for everyone. For me, it's a healing journey. So it sounds very simple to put yourself first. It's a simple concept, but most humans, especially women, moms, have a very, very difficult time doing this. And I was put, as we spoke earlier, I got divorced, right? And my ex-husband had the kids half the time. He's a great dad. And we split custody, 50-50. And I had all this time on my hands and was like, what am I doing? I didn't even know what I like to do anymore. I didn't know. I was still having mom guilt, and the kids weren't even here at my house. I just still felt guilty about trying to do something for myself. And so I started with simple steps of just going outside of my normal box, and I reached out and was looking for a new community. And I'm not necessarily shy about meeting new people per se, but I was not in a great place. So I met who ended up being my mentor, and she helped me just see some tools. She introduced me to tools like Reiki that I can use to help myself in my own healing journey. So all the things that I had been stuffing down was now opening back up, and I was peeling away the layers. It is all about doing the work. So for many years, while I was still married, I was reading all the books, the self-help books, the personal development, all of those things, but I was not actually doing the work. I felt like reading the book was part of the work, and it's not. So I spent a lot of time working on me. That was basically my spare time when I didn't have my children, was developing me. So I was learning how to develop boundaries, and even when I was with my kids, so I would have my own boundaries and still have my own time, even though I was a mom and supposed to be caring for them, right? So it was a lot of work on myself, and it still is. It's not easy, especially the last year and a half. It's a continuous thing. I was starting to just open myself up to who I truly was. Because when I met my ex-husband, you think you know who you are when you're in your 20s. I didn't, right? And so it was going from the reading and the researching to the actual doing and spending a lot of time on me. And once I did that, I was happier. My kids were noticing. So they were actually happier to see me happier. So I was starting to realize that, oh, wow, when I do take care of myself first, my kids are actually better for it. So there's not a martyr, I'm not a martyr now because I'm a mom. I was starting to see all these things. So after all of this work, I came to that epiphany of, why am I still doing this job? I became attuned to Reiki and started working on it for myself personally and with my family, my kids. And I decided, I've been able to change my life so much, pretty much a 180. I desire to now help other people do that.
Right.
And I literally leapt without a plan.
Before we go into that, I just want to recap a few things which I see often, because people are often asking me to coach them on certain things, and I'm looking at their available time. So one of the gems I loved you saying just now is, I was reading all these books, but I wasn't doing the work. And the same when people are asking me to coach them, and I'm looking at their time. I just refuse to coach them, no matter how much they offer me, because their time available to implement isn't there. So you had this job, you had your being a mum, you had probably other responsibilities that you had to deal with, you just didn't have the time. So until you got divorced and you had that time, that's when you could do the work. So that's the first thing. The second really interesting aspect of what you're sharing is that setting of boundaries. And because I'm a divorced person as well, and when my kids came over, they would say, "Hey, Mom allows us to do this," and I would say, "Well, this is my house, my rules. Your mom's house, her rules. Your house, your rules. So if I come to your house, you want me to sit with my legs around my neck, then okay, if I can do that, that's what I'll do. But until..." So totally agree with you, setting those boundaries. That's really important. And that also frees up your time because now you're setting up those boundaries so that people, I think in one of the articles you wrote about, you're talking about people who suck your energy, which is and sometimes it looks like what they're doing is helping you, but really they're just sucking your energy by giving you more and more information that you can't process.
Yes.
I remember putting my daughter on some courses, and so there's a whole bunch of courses that she needed to go on, but I refused to allow her to go on any more courses until she did the work for 2 courses that she'd been on. And she said, "No, I need to know this information." I said, no, you don't. You really don't until you've done that work. So I really love what you're saying there, Jill, because I don't think people really understand it. They think, no, I need more information. And I'm thinking, no, you need time. You just need that.
Yeah. You know what I think is interesting to your point and also to Jill's is that wherever, because I've made a lot of transformations too, but wherever it is that you start from took years to get usually, right? You didn't just get there in one day. And then all of a sudden we want the magic wand. Woo, I want to be out of this situation. I want it all to change. No, because if it were like that anyway, you wouldn't grow as a person. You wouldn't make new connections and experience new things. So I think that was really brilliant, Joe, what you said. And also Dr. Who about having the time, taking the time, carving out the time to do the work.
Jill has a particular challenge that other people who are going through Jill's life, it's challenging anyway, but her particular challenge is that she is an empath and she cannot find, unless she has those quiet moments, who is the real Jill. Because she's picking up so many people's emotions, including her kids. And I would also ask Jill, if you haven't done this work already, I'd be wondering whether your kids could be slightly empathic as well and not want to share certain things because they're worried that you get overloaded, especially because they see you crying a lot, right? So just, that's all I'd share. It might be something else you, if you haven't already explored, might want to explore a little later on in your life.
It's actually interesting that you bring that up because of that, one of the biggest reasons why I do what I do is for my children and ultimately to break that generational cycle, right? So a lot of the things that I do in my own personal journey and with my family, as well as I talk with clients and things, is to have that first. So I have a very open communication with my children. And so they understand what it is. They understand what that is. And I've also taught them tools to use to help protect the energy and to help figure out, is it my energy or is it your energy and things like that. So we have a very open line of communication. And I've taught them things like, cloaking before you go in somewhere and setting the intention that your energy is your energy and their energy is theirs. And you're only going to allow in things that help you. And then we do things that are called like cutting the cord. So we cut the energetic tie and connection with other people. So that it's bringing our energy back because, even right now we're connecting, right? The three of us are connecting, and anyone that may be listening or watching now or in the future, we get connected. Our energies get connected in some way, shape, or form. And so now that I'm a lot more aware of that, and I cannot say I'm perfect in doing so, but I now, like when we finish having our conversation, I will spend time to send your energy back to you and bring my energy back to me so that I can be a little bit more, comfortable in where I am and how I feel. And these are things that I teach my children and hope that my clients will teach their children, et cetera, et cetera.
These are really great tips, especially if you're an empath. I had a friend of mine who had this gift, and it was a very, very strong gift. But she would go up to people and she would tell them exactly what was going on from the emotions, because she knew it was theirs. That's how strong it was. Mm-hmm. And she was the total opposite of you. Because I said to her, look, I feel, unless you're going to be with, and coming back to Dr. J's point, you don't fix it in a second, unless you're going to be with that person for the journey or a large part of that journey, the best thing you can do is just give them a hug and don't say a thing. Just because you're aware that they're going through something, but there is just no point in letting other people because they deliberately put those plasters over themselves.
Yeah, they sort of dip in and out of your life, but they're not there for the whole part of the journey. And then I don't know, sometimes I feel like they try to derail you because they don't understand.
Yes.
So just so you don't misunderstand, I'm talking about people that Jill meets, and she can immediately feel their emotions.
Okay.
And it might be just a doctor or a regular person, but she might know it instantly. That person's going through a divorce. It's best that she doesn't say anything, gives them a big hug, unless she is going to go with them through that whole divorce, deal with them crying a lot of the time. And obviously, if you've got that kind of resilience to deal with people going through that, which I'm guessing, Jill, you've developed if you've worked on becoming a Reiki master, that's a great thing to do. Otherwise, it's just best to give them. These are people who are hurting now, whose emotions that we've picked up.
Yes, I mean, I will have a conversation if it's a client and I'm picking up on things. I gain their permission ahead of time, and most everyone wants to know what I see, feel, or hear, or whatever comes to me. And we have a conversation, and then we have a conversation of tools that they could use that could help them, right? But I am never one, and I know people that do this, so to each their own. I choose not to just go up to someone randomly and share what I'm seeing or feeling or whatever about what's going on with them. But if I'm in a one-on-one type situation, or even like a group coaching or something where we're discussing that sort of thing, yes, because I can then provide tools that can help them.
Right.
Right. And they have my contact information. So if something blows up, they can contact me. You know what I mean? But I am not one to just, share, with whoever I meet.
That would be exhausting too, wouldn't it?
It really is.
Absolutely.
It really is. And like you go home and you cut yourself off from all that energy just to be on your own.
Yep.
Jill, you've shared some of the tools, and you talked about cloaking and so on. Would you be willing, if we have the spotlight on you, just to share some of the ways that you protect your energy, so that you know that it's you, and explain, like the cloaking and two of the other tools that you use to protect yourself? For me, it's loud music by being dancing, or sometimes a bit of alcohol. So then I know that if I'm feeling, it's me, because I'm not picking it. Some way to dull my empathic ability. But I'm very interested, as you say, people have different tools that works with them.
Yeah, I mean, everyone, I always say, pick the tools that resonate with you, try them, right? And then if that doesn't work, try something else, because everyone is a little bit different. What works really great for me, and that I share with a lot of people, is first off, before you're going anywhere or having any sort of interaction, especially if it's not necessarily a place or with people that you desire to really spend time with, first off is setting intentions. So just setting intentions with the way you desire to feel and the things that you desire to do, and just spending a little bit of time, whether it's actually through a meditation or just literally, sitting in the car before you go into the grocery store, setting the intention that you are protecting your energy, you're going to feel amazing going through the store, whatever works for you. But setting some type of intention is first off really huge, because that's just setting the tone for it. And then the next thing is taking it to another level. I personally like, as I mentioned, cloaking, which is me. And how I do it is, say, if I'm sitting in a store, sitting somewhere, I'm literally I close my eyes and I imagine a big, gorgeous cloak over me, and putting my hood over. And what this does is, this is protecting my light, and it's protecting my energy. Is if you think of light, if you think of someone who's has a lot of positive energy and is high vibrational or empathic, what happens is, those mosquito lights, and you have like the moths and the like all the bugs and stuff get attracted to the light. So when you put a cloak over, and this is something that my mentor taught me, you put a cloak over and you're protecting all of that light, you're not getting that energy coming at you. The negative energy is coming at you. Other people that I know have used they put a bubble around them, or they use a shield or something like that. I personally love the cloak because it just protects all of that light. And then, go through. There is a big difference if you go into, say, the grocery store without doing those two things, and you go in when you do them. I am telling you, there's a totally different experience that you have. And then when you come out of whatever experience it is, and also with social media, do this as well, cloak, protect your energy before you get on social media. And then after, what I envision is just there's a cord, an energetic cord that goes from like my heart chakra to whoever else's energy, and it's coming out. And I imagine a sword, or sometimes I even just do this and I like karate chop. And in my mind, I just say, send their energy back to them, my energy back to me. But as far as boundaries are concerned, this is another thing to kind of go along with the intentions, is just knowing what your boundaries are, knowing what you stand for, knowing what lifts up your energy and what does not, what drains your energy, or who. This is another piece that I feel like a lot of people, like, you go to those events, you go to the family parties, you go to all the things because you feel like you should go. But when you leave, or when you're even 5 minutes in, you feel completely drained. Why do you go? Think about it. So think about the people that you're around, the places that you're around, the places that you go. Is it good for you or not? And this takes work, but cutting those things that negatively affect you out of your life, those things and those people and those places, and filling them back up with things that fill you up. That's another way to really protect, because I feel like the holidays, for instance, people go places and run around and do all these things because they feel like they should, because it's tradition and they've always done that, but they feel awful after. And no one is going to protect you, and no one is going to put you first except for yourself. Those are some of the things that I do. I mean, it took a long time to decide, you know what, I'm not going there. I love you can still love all those people. You do not have to spend time with them.
That takes a lot of courage, doesn't it?
A lot.
Because people are pulling at your heartstrings. And what do you mean you're not coming for the holidays? Or what do you mean you're not going to go to this event? But you're protecting yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm washing my hair that day.
Yeah.
That will take you a while, Ben. I can understand how you won't be able to make it.
And even just you can just say no. Yeah. You don't even have to rationalize that.
Yes.
But we've been conditioned to just, this is what we should be doing, right?
And also, when we do things that we're not supposed to be doing because it doesn't feel good, it affects our health. And
absolutely.
your body and mind are crying out like, no, please don't. And then once you stop doing it, all of a sudden you start feeling better.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dr. J, before we go to closing thoughts, did you want to do the final commercial break from our sponsors?
Did we? I thought we did 2 commercial breaks. Thank you.
No,
Thank you. I'm so engaged with the conversation that I wasn't. Yes.
We've shared some great gems, and we'll recap them after the
absolutely. All right, we're going to take a break and listen to some of our sponsors. We'll be right back. Thank you.
Every day it was the same old story. I worked hard to make sure no one noticed what I was dealing with, but my stomach never cared where I was. And the pain just kept coming. After too many close calls and even weight loss, I had to do something. The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation helped me realize what was going on and even helped me find a specialist. Don't hide your symptoms. Get help at spillyourguts.org.
Located at 121 Haddon Avenue in Westmont, New Jersey, is Margie Cedrone, artisan jeweler. Margie's been in business for more than 30 years. She works with her clients to create custom pieces of jewelry to reflect their personality and help them make their own bold statement. Starting in the renowned Jewelers Row in Center City, Philadelphia in 1988, Margie works directly with her clients to develop one-of-a-kind pieces such as necklaces, engagement rings, wedding bands, unique watches and tennis bracelets, as well as a myriad of rings and earrings for everyone in your family. She also has worked directly with Dr. Jacalyn over the years, creating unique pieces of jewelry to reflect her personality. She does pearl stringing and repairs on site at 121 Haddon Avenue. Call or text Margie at 215-384-7155. Margie Sajone Jewelry is open by appointment only. Make your own bold statement.
Ladies and gentlemen, here it is, the most listened to radio show on the planet. Even the other stations are tuned in too.
You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Welcome back. You're watching the Underdog Show on Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn with my co-host Ben Chai, Doctor Who of Business, and our guest Jill Coletti. We've heard some wonderful gems that were so incredibly drew me in so much I didn't even remember to go to the break. So, Doctor Who, would you like to sum up what we've heard today?
Yeah, so we're talking about if you have this ability to pick up other people's emotions, it can overwhelm you, and you might not even know you have this ability. There is a book called The Highly Sensitive Person, or you can read online about what that ability is when you're picking up other people's emotions, and it's not particularly you. Jill has, over the last 5 years, found that she has this ability which impacted her as a kid, teenager, growing up. And once she discovered it, has found different ways to, if you like, cut that energy off, or those emotions off from coming into her, so that she can know who herself is. One of those techniques is to go in places with an intention or a focus, so you know why you're going there and you're out straight away. The second one is to have, for her, think of yourself being cloaked, maybe before you go into an event, a party, a shopping mall, to have some kind of think of a cloak over you, totally protecting you from all these different emotions. And the third one is to set boundaries about what you're willing and not willing to do, so that if somebody does try and impose something on you, you don't feel bad, maybe because of whatever they're projecting in their emotions, because you have set those boundaries. So those are three great, if you like, gems I've gleaned from Jill. Dr. J, have I missed anything out?
I don't think so, but I do want to give Jill the opportunity to talk about herself as an author, because you've contributed to a book. Let's hear more about that.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, thank you. I have it here, so I don't forget. I put it in front of me so I didn't forget. It's called The Truth About Success. And this is, if you can see on here, there's a whole list. There was actually 25 of us that contributed, all women, women entrepreneurs, some moms, some not. We all share a bit about our story and what success means to us in that piece of our journey and piece of our story. And mine shares a little bit of what I've talked about today, and about how I've integrated my children with what I'm doing now. And I'll tell you right now, if you've ever thought you'd like to write a book, but you're a little scared, a collaboration is a great way to get started. It was an amazing experience. This book is amazing. All 24 other authors in here have an absolutely inspirational story. And I'm now in the process of writing my own book. So I'm really excited to share this. You can find it right on my website or Amazon if you're interested. But yeah, everyone's success is different. And I think that's one of the big things. Just like your story, everyone's story, you do what works for you. Make sure that you're connecting with yourself. You're protecting yourself, so you know that what you are doing in your life is all you and not someone else.
Bravo. Way to sum up the show. Thank you so much. Congratulations on your chapter there and on writing your own book.
Thank
Love
you.
Jill, for our podcast listeners, could you just spell out your website to them, please?
Oh, absolutely. It's Jill Coletti. It's JILLCOLETTI.com.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jill. Thank you so much for being here. I've really enjoyed meeting you.
It's been a pleasure. Grateful.
Yes, and how else can they get hold of you apart from going to your website? Do you have any Instagram or Facebook or your social media so they can?
Facebook is my name. Yep. Jill
Facebook
Coletti.
is your name.
And that's
Facebook is one. Yep.
Coletti with one L.
One L, two T's.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's
fantastic.
Fantastic.
Thank you again for being here, Jill, and congratulations on your success, your transformation. You're glowing. You look very happy.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Have a great
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Jill.
Back to you, Dr. Who.
Well, Dr. J, some of the journey, it's funny how different people's journeys cross over and then, go divert, because I know some of your journey is very similar to Jill's, where you just got fed up with the corporate world.
Yes.
And also one day just asked yourself, why am I doing this?
It was interesting. In my journey, it was kind of perfect timing because I had started the life coaching certification program. So I was involved with coaches all the time and we were bartering, coaching. And I just ended up meeting with this woman, Mariska, and came up with a plan. Jill had mentioned that she didn't have a plan specifically, but I actually came up with 3 plans, A, B, and C. And of course, then I resigned from my corporate job, and then the pandemic hits 2 weeks later. So it's kind of like, but it's been a great journey, and I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, that's so true. So audience, thank you so much for tuning in and listening to the Underdog Show. Every week we share a story of someone who's gone through very challenging times in their lives. So just now, today was with Jill, who had self-worth issues because she was picking up other people's emotions, and other people were looking at her strangely at times because she's behaving, in a weird way from an emotional perspective, which caused her not to feel like she didn't belong in many ways. So we have these shows and we focus on different people. Some people have lost everything, some have been betrayed by their parents, whatever. Thank you for tuning in, and please do share some of these stories with the people around you, because we're focusing on really helping people in these lives. And you never know, when you share one of these stories, it could help one of your friends or one of the friends of their friends. And do write in, do send us comments on the shows. Thank you again so much for tuning in to the Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn, the Underdog Show.
Thank you, Dr. Who. And please do follow Dr. Who on LinkedIn. That's your preferred social media platform, right?
Yes, Ben Chai Official, or Instagram, Ben Chai Official.
Well, thank you, Ben Chai Official and Ben Chai Unofficial and Dr. Who of Business, Ben Chai. It's been a pleasure working with you today. And thanks to Jill. She's an amazing guest. And I hope you'll go to her website. It's Coletti, Coletti, 1 L, 2 T's, and also look into her book on Amazon. It's a collaboration. I meant to ask her if she's with the Wellness Universe, because I am. I'm not sure but I'll talk to her about that later. Anyway, I'm going to say goodbye for now and just give some updates about what's coming up for the rest of the day. Thank you, Dr. Who. If you missed our show, please go over to Dr. Jacalyn LLC and subscribe to watch all of our programming. We have 18 shows every week, and it's just getting better and better because the quality of the stories, people are so forthcoming, like Jill today. It's you might think it's really impossible to share what's going on in your life or inside, but for some reason people come on the show and they tell us how they're really feeling, and it helps other people. So thank you again, Jill. Thank you, Ben. Our next show coming up in an hour is the Business Talk Show with my co-host, Mr. Alcini. And after that, we have a better you. Lessons from the best coaches, consultants, and trusted advisors. And then our final show of the day is In the Name of Love. So to learn more about our programming, just go over to drjacalyn.com and you can click on Learn More About Our shows. I also want to offer you the ability to get a free copy of my ebook, which is Behind the Green Screen. I'm streaming this now. I'd love for you to contact me. Just email me, Jacalyn@drjacalyn.com. I also want to mention we have coming soon all new branding. Everything you see is going to be changing except for me. So the background's going to be changing. The music's going to stay the same, but we are working with a company out of the UK and spending hours and hours and hours together, really determining what the branding looks like and making sure that we are reaching out to all of you in the way that you want to be reached out to. So it's really about you in the beginning and in the end. So thank you again for being here. We also have a jewelry collection that's coming out that's going to be for our audience to purchase so that you can be part of the Dr. Jacalyn family. And we'd love to hear from you if there's something specific that you're looking for in terms of something in the line of jewelry. And I will let you go. I thank you again. Please remember to be kind to yourself, be gracious with yourself, give yourself a pass every now and again. And if you are in some part of your life that doesn't feel good, get out of it. Take the steps, come up with a plan, and just find your authenticity and be true to you. And then you can be true to others too. All right. Take care. Thank you again.